falling into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up and place me as an atom at your feet. As an atom at your feet. As an atom at your feet. Do you really want to be an atom? Piece of dust that rotates on its feet. Or do you want to be Lord Brahma? The controller. Tell the truth. You may want to be like Lord Brahma, but you won't be happy. So when you become a particle of dust, it's just your feet, you'll never be happy. There's an atom at your feet. Everyone, say it like you mean it. There's an atom at your feet. 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 I just wanna be an atom at your feet. I just wanna be an atom at your feet. I just wanna be an atom at your feet. I wanna be an atom at your feet. You're not lying, are you? Don't lie, tell the truth. Wanna be Lord Brahma, control the universe. I want everyone to do what I tell them to do. I don't want anyone to not love me or leave me or say anything bad about me or anything like that. Oh, that's the wrong song. I'm sorry. Came up with a melody and when we were doing the kirtan. What does he do? What does he sing? Like some Hanuman thing? Do you know?
Who? Krishna does.
That's the melody, right? Sita, you know?
Jai Advaita Sita, Jai Krishna, Jai.
No.
No, is that what?
You know? You've heard it?
I recognize, but I will not know.
Sitaram Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram Jaya Sitaram. Sitaram Jaya Sitaram. Yeah, we can steal from him. I like this one he does. You know this one? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. You know that? Stealing another one from Krishna. And he chants the Maha Mantra too. Hare E minor. D, B minor, C, D, B minor, A, B minor. You can figure it out. You have a choice of 4 chords, so you have a 25% chance you'll hit the right one. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Govinda. Everyone together with more bhakti than you've ever chanted in your entire sojourn in the material world. Are you ready? Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, rock and roll, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Radhe Radhe. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You can love me, you can break me, says Radharani. You can leave me or embrace me. You can do anything that you want, but you'll always be the Lord of my heart. You will always be, always be. You will always be the Lord of my heart. You will always be, always be. You will always be the Lord of my heart. One more time. Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Asli Shiva Paragatam Vinastamam Adarshana Mamahatam Karotu Vayatata Iridakiram Tato Ma Prananastastu Sevana Parama My prananastastu sevana parama. Everyone. Asli Shiva Paravinastamam Adarshana Mamata Kurotuva Vidhatata Vidatu Namdato My prananastastu sevana parama. Everyone. My prananastastu sevana parama. My prananastastu sevana parama. Prananath, the Lord of my life. My prananatu sevana para, and there's no other Lord. You're the only one. Hare Krishna. I only have one Lord. Pizza and ice cream. No, I mean Krishna. Krishna's my only Lord. He's my only Lord. He will remain as such. Even if He handles me roughly by His embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. But He'll always remain the Lord of my life. Prananath. You will always be, always be. Shastakam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Shri Shri Radhe Shyam ki jai. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Shamaniti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Shanyavadi Paschata Vanchakapaturabhischa Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Vasa Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Joy. I was having a thought today when I was a young devotee, when I was a young Prabhu, when I was a young master. I remember that I had like incredible determination. And if anything got in the way of my Krishna consciousness, I would just knock it out. Like whatever it was. No, I want to be Krishna. No, not that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to give in to this. No, it's just, I was thinking about that today, like when I was like 2 years as a devotee. Thinking about these situations where I wouldn't give into because it was detrimental to my Krishna consciousness. I was thinking, wow, Mahatma Prabhu, you were fired up. But, and then I was thinking how so many devotees, not so many, but it happens that some devotees don't get fired up, they get fired out. So they Maya's strong and you're fighting 15 rounds, that's like professional boxing, can go 15 rounds. And a lot of the boxing matches only go 10. So 10 is not that hard, 15 is hard. There was a fight, it's a classic fight, with Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali. You're going to hear that. This is from the Muhammad Ali Samhita. Muhammad Ali knocks everybody out, but he couldn't knock this one guy out. And he tried, like in the 14th round, to knock him out. And he couldn't. In the 13th round, he was like finished. He said, I can't fight any longer. He didn't have the strength. And he came out in the 14th round like it was the first round, and he was like, and everyone was like, couldn't amaze. And he was like kind of half dead and fighting. And that round ended, and I don't know who he was fighting, but he's like, he couldn't knock this guy. They were both they couldn't defeat one another. And the opponent was so weak and tired that his coaches called the match off because they thought, he's like going to die. He can't fight anymore. So they called the match off, right? Muhammad Ali stood up and fell over. He was actually more tired, I think, than he couldn't have fought another round. Do you ever feel like that? I can't fight another round. It's like, right? So I was thinking, and this is common. It's like too hard. I can't. And I was thinking when I was this young devotee, like I wouldn't, like nothing would. It's like no matter how hard it was and how much I was being punched down, I would always get back up and fight somehow or other. It was like I had that determination. That Krishna consciousness, it's so valuable, it's so rare, and I have it, and I really don't like the material world anyway, and I really prefer, if I didn't have to come back and do it again, that I just developed this mindset, like no matter what, no matter how my hits, I'm going to get up and fight back. I don't know where it came. It must have come from another life or something. And I was thinking, that's what we want, isn't it? Like this is it, no matter what, I'm going to do it. Now, have you ever noticed that materialists are like this? They set a goal and they're like, I'm doing it, I'm going for it.
Do you ever feel embarrassed or guilty that someone's doing that for themselves with more determination than we're doing it for Krishna? Do you ever feel like something's wrong with that? You know, your Guru Maharaj, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, liked Michael Jordan. You know that? He liked Michael Jordan. Because her Guru Maharaj, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, is like perfectionist, right? Or more than a perfectionist. One step beyond perfection. Yeah. So, he likes, to just do things as well as they could be done, and even better. And so Michael Jordan was like an idol for him. It's like, so he said, yeah, I get inspired by him because he's so good. And so I want to be good at what I do. Rati, you hear somebody singing, Baby I Love You, but they sound like a Gandharva. And it's like, oh, I want to sing like that for Krishna. Isn't it? Yeah. So I think that maybe we could get a little agitated by non-devotees doing their things better than we're doing. Like Rati and I, we hear a band or some song, we're like, oh my God, that's so good. We have to do that for Krishna, isn't it? Yeah. It's like, there's some songs that they're so good, you can't even figure out how they did it. I mean, you can figure it out, but how they created that, it's so, every spice in the song is perfect, right? And it's the perfect singer and the perfect words and the perfect mix in the instruments. So, it would be really nice if we could meditate on this mindset, because it's what you need. It's because Maya is always going to, fight back. But we have to go into the ring with the mood of, well, I'm just going to fight. I'm not going to give up. Because Maya wants you to give up. You can make a t-shirt. It says, Maya's trying to get me to give up. Yes? I mean, that's her job. That's what she's supposed to do, and she's good at it. So. Then the natural question is, you're probably thinking, well, where did that determination come from? How did you get it? How do I get it? That's what I need. Yes? Something comes and it's no, I'm not going to do this. It's not good for my Krishna consciousness. I want to be Krishna conscious. Where do you get that determination? So I was reflecting on that. I mean, it does help to have Prabhupada's association. That could have added something to it, right? Maybe I didn't have any determination, and just by Prabhupada's mercy, he gave it to me. I don't know. But that doesn't help you exactly, because you want to know how to get it now. But, I mean, we could still get it from Prabhupada's books, of course. Appreciation, as I was saying. I always give this example of the gold pen. I don't want to tell you how many pens I have lost in my life, because I don't even know, because it's probably over 100. But they're only $1 pens, so I lost $100 worth of pens. But when someone gives me a nice pen in a case, silver or gold-plated, I'm proud to say I don't lose it. Have you ever lost a pen before? Yeah. Of course. But not a gold one worth $800. No, you're not going to lose that. Why? Because it's valuable, obviously, right? Yeah. Of course. If Krishna consciousness to you is valuable, you're not going to lose it. If it's whatever. There's always the next life. I heard a rumor. I heard a rumor. Maybe you heard it also. Things are getting worse out there. Did you hear that rumor? Maybe you've seen it.
Things are getting worse.
Worse out there in the world. I heard another rumor. They're going to continue getting worse. I'm just saying, in case you're thinking about coming back in the next life. I mean, you don't know. Putin may still be alive and he's taken over Amsterdam by now. He's just working his way west. Who knows what's happening, right? You don't know. What you do know is that it's going to be worse. So, Srila Prabhupada and the Shastras wanted us to value the human life. So this is like, it's pretty rare. There's verses like this. Life is rare, obviously. And you go, oh, it's rare. Okay, and I have the opportunity. So that's one of the ways you find determination. But if it's like, well, it's just a plastic pen, who cares? Well, I don't know where I left it, who cares? I'll get another one. I don't know what happened in that last life, but I'll get another one. It's just like, whatever. Take off from where I left off. Do you ever think like that? Prabhu, it's so hard to be Krishna conscious. I can't do it. Yeah. Well, it's harder to take another birth. So if you do a cost-benefit analysis, being Krishna consciousness is less difficult with more benefits. Might be easier to take another birth, but there's more pain in it. Easy in the short term, right? It's like dropping out of school. I'll just drop out. It's easier. And then all you can get is a low-paying job that doesn't pay you enough to pay your bills, right? Or barely if you live in a box or something. So, what I think is, if we develop that kind of determination, that Maya's going to leave us alone, because she's like, I can't work with this person because they don't want to give in, so I have to go somewhere else. This devotee is so determined, I'm wasting my time. I'll go somewhere else, where I'm more wanted and liked. You always go where you're liked, right? So Maya comes to your house and like, they don't like me in this house. So go to another house. Comes to your house. Hey, they like me. So come on in. You invite her in. And then you're all asking one another, how did Maya get in here? And it's like, I think we opened the door. Did you ever ask yourself that? Like, how did this happen? Well, the bad news, in case you haven't noticed, is but Maya she doesn't just come in unless you have to open the door, and then she comes in. Like, how did she get in? You opened the door? I did. Yes, you did. You didn't notice, but you did it. Otherwise, she doesn't come in. They're homes of devotees, and there's no Maya. They keep the door closed. It's possible. Yeah. So when your determination is strong, it's like, I want to be Krishna consciousness. This is so important. It's so valuable. I want this. Just like a materialist, when they want something, they dedicate everything to it. They want it so much. They'll do anything to get it. Prabhu, you want to be Krishna conscious? Maybe. It's kind of hard, It's probably going to take me a few lifetimes. I'm not that spiritual. And it's like, no. Your next door neighbor is 100 times more determined just to get a BMW than you are to go back to Godhead. That doesn't make sense, right? It's just a BMW. You can go back to Godhead and dance with Krishna, though, should be determined for that. Yeah. Now, here's a thought. You want a really good thought? Imagine you're 85. Hard to imagine, right? Not for me, but for you. I'm only 12 years away from 85. But if you're a little further away, imagine you're 85 and you don't look exactly like you look now. It's like, it's the end. And you're like, it's like obvious, it's over. Party's over, body's breaking down. And now you're looking back at your life. So, there's two things are going to happen. You're either going to look back and go, damn, I blew it. Or you're going to look back with gratitude and it's like, I'm glad I did what I did. What do you think? You don't want to be at your last days thinking, I could have, should have, would have but now it's too late. You don't want to be that way. That would be so painful, isn't it? You want to think, I'm glad I did what I did, I made those sacrifices, and I'm in a good state of consciousness. That's how we want to be, right? And so Bhagavatam says, all life is just tested at the end, so you can remember Krishna. It's all about that. You're preparing for the final exam. Yeah, I'll study later. Do you ever do that in school? And you stay up all night the night before. So it's not like, well, the doctor said I have 3 days to live. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I'll be doing 64 rounds today. No, it's not like that. You prepare your whole life, so at the end you're like, okay, I'm prepared. Did you ever take a test you weren't prepared for? Well, let me ask it again. Did anybody not ever take a test they weren't? We all must have it. If we all have any kind of lazy bone in our body, we did it, right? And you're sitting at the test, and how do you feel? Like, I'm so stupid, I should have studied, right? Kicking yourself. You don't want to do that with your spiritual life. Oh, Prabhu, it's so hard to chant 16 rounds. It's not that hard. There's 24 hours in a day. It's only 2. You might have to look at Instagram less to chant 16 rounds, but that's good. You might have to gossip less to do it. Do you know that we all should be chanting 64 rounds? Do you know that? You know why? Did anyone ever tell you? How many hours do you set aside for Maya every day? How many hours do you schedule in your schedule book? You can't even planner. We don't even use those anymore, do we? How many hours do you plan in for Maya in your schedule? Well, if you chant 64 rounds, guess what? You don't have any time for Maya, right? Of course, Prabhupada knew we couldn't do 64, but imagine we as devotees had to do 64 rounds. We're talking 8 hours, right? Are you going to get out of bed at 7:30? Maybe I'll chant my rounds later. No. You don't get up 4, You got to have 32 rounds before you go to work. And you're not going to stay at work till 9 o'clock because you got to come back at 6, have a little prasadam, and you need 2 more hours to chant your other 30. Right? So it's you couldn't be in Maya. There's no time. Do we have time for Maya now? We do, and still we say 16 is too much, I have no time. Yes? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, something's wrong with that picture. Yes? Anyway, these are things to think about that can motivate you. Another thing, what I always felt what a privilege it is to serve a pure devotee. What a privilege it is to serve Prabhupada. There's a great person. Can I get you some water? Could I do something? Speaking of water, can I get you some water? Can I do something for you? And the person, the greater they are, the more pleasure you get from serving them. Wow. I got to give the king of... You have a king here still?
Yes.
The king of the Netherlands. I got to give him something. It's got to go in the palace. I mean, maybe that's not a good example because that may not excite you. But you understand, to serve a great person. Serve a great person is such an honor, isn't it? If you're a musician, let's say you're a guitarist, right? Who's the good guitarist now? Well, who's still alive? Who's the greatest guitarist alive today? Santana. Okay, we'll say Santana. Carlos Santana. He's okay. Not bad. Carlos Sanatana. Yeah. So you're at the airport and you see Carlos Sanatana. And he's got like a bag and a backpack, and he's got his guitar, which is probably the coolest guitar you could ever have, And you go, Carlos, do you need help? Could I carry your guitar? And you're like 16, and he's your idol. And you wallpapered your room with his pictures. And you get to carry his guitar. Like, doesn't get better than that, right? And what do? Tell all your friends. I carry, you won't believe this, I carry Carlos Sanatana's guitar. That guitar he plays? That's $7,000 Gibson Les Paul guitar. Yeah, I got to carry it. Right? Your mother ever say, pick your stuff up and put it in the closet. But if you could carry Carlos Sanatana's guitar, you carry it around the whole airport all day, right? Yes? So that's how I think about serving Prabhupada. I think, wow, like serving a pure devotee? Come on, they're going to give up that? That's insane. What do you think? Like, you can serve a pure devotee, you could do something for his movement. You could give someone his book, you could clean his temple, you could manage his temple, you could donate to his movement. Wow, what a privilege. Oh my God, like, Hare Krishna. That's even better than carrying Carlos Sanatana's guitar, by far, right? I got to carry, Prabhupada has a little white case if you ever see him in the airport, he's got a white, I got to carry that case. Like why would I remember a little white case that I carried in an airport, If I met some guy in the street, in the airport, could you help me carry this? I'd carry it and it's like, I'd forget it, right? Why would I remember it 40 years later, 50 years later, I wouldn't remember. I remember 53 years ago, I carried this guy at the airport, I carried his bags for, 10 minutes. Like, you wouldn't remember. I got to carry Prabhupada's bag. I was carrying it. It's like, oh my God. I'm like the most special, fortunate soul on the planet right now. I'm carrying the Guru of the universe. I'm carrying his case. I'm helping him. His personal case. Wow. What do you think? So we are fortunate that we could do anything for Prabhupada. Prabhu, can you do this? I'm busy. The Guru of the universe is asking you to do some service. I'll think about it. No. It's like, what a fortune. What a fortune. We used to do Sankirtan. And back in the days when all over the newspapers was like, cult this, cult that, guru this, guru that, so people think, oh, you're just making all this money for your guru who lives in a big mansion and drives a Rolls Royce. That's what they think. But I think, what's the difference? You're out in the office all day, you're working to pay for your Rolls Royce and mansion or whatever car you have, and I'm just doing it for my guru. I'm not married, I don't have to support a family. You're supporting your family because you love them. I'm doing this for my guru because I love them. What's the difference? I was happy to do it. Here, Prabhupada, take all this money. I'll live with nothing. My greatest pleasure. If you're a man and you make a lot of money, you make your wife pretty happy, don't you? So it's like, honey, I just got a raise. It's like, you're feeling good because she's happy now, right? Yeah? No? Yes? Of course. So, we collect all this money, we give it all to Prabhupada, and we go back and sleep on the floor. Here's $1,000, and we'll sleep on the floor and eat 2 chapatis tomorrow. And we were happy, because it's for Prabhupada. And then we would do austerity. Like big austerity, like insane austerity, to distribute books. Living in a van in the middle of the winter, 5 devotees sleeping in a van, taking a shower with snow. It was like crazy stuff. I never did the snow shower. But, jumping in an ice cold lake or whatever. And going, distributing books and places that are illegal and running away from security and police. And sometimes they catch you and they put you in jail. And like eating granola for breakfast, which is not bad, except you eat granola for lunch. And guess what you eat for dinner? You'll never guess. Starts with a G. And we're on the street about 12 hours a day. And we're happy. Yeah, live in a van or live in some really sleazy hotel. Did you ever do that, Rati, on traveling Sankirtan? We need a hotel, Where's the cheapest hotel we can find? You find the cheapest one. It was cleaned like 3 years ago, the last time. The sheets are like from another yuga. And you get the cockroaches at no extra cost. They come with the hotel. And we say, well, how many are staying there? 2. And there's like 14 devotees in the van. And then we go in there and, sleep on top of one another. And so we're doing all this. It's like, this is for Prabhupada. This is like, who cares? I'm so fortunate. I could do this for Prabhupada. The bigger the austerity, the happier I am. Does that make sense? Yeah, so if we feel that way, then it's like, wow, what a fortune it is to serve Prabhupada. All these austerities, they don't feel austere anymore. They're just opportunities to serve. That's it. Beautiful. So if we think that way, it makes it easier to do these things. The granola 3 times a day was on my party, but there was a worse party. It was peanuts and raisins 3 times a day. I don't think I could have made it on that one. And they go out for like 3 weeks, and like after 3 weeks, they never want to see a peanut or a raisin for their next 3 lifetimes, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. What do you think? You think you're fortunate to be able to serve Prabhupada? Just do some little thing. And Prabhupada, you do some little thing, he's happy. And Prabhupada says, thank you for that. And that's it. That's like, my life is perfect. Srila Prabhupada said, thank you. But he's saying thank you for all your service, all the time. So that's your perfection. And you should know that he's saying it. There's a lecture, maybe you've heard it, in Prabhupada. Maybe it was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's disappearance or appearance day. And he was talking about his mission, and then he said, I have to thank you all. He's basically saying, because you're the ones who are spreading Krishna consciousness, you're helping me, and I couldn't do this without you. So, Prabhupada didn't think, I'm the big Jagat Guru, and you're all just a bunch of like Kali Yuga people who can't do anything right, and it's only because of me that you have any value, otherwise you're like useless. He didn't think like that. He thought, without you, I could not have done this. So he was very indebted. And sometimes, like a devotee would leave, sannyasi would fall, they'd come back, and they'd say, Prabhupada, would you accept me back? He'd say, of course. He said, I can never forget any service that my disciples do. This is a nice story. You want to hear it?
Yes.
Okay. Only 3 people want to hear this story. Everyone go outside, I'll tell the story. There was a devotee who Prabhupada gave sannyas to. And this devotee was a guru before he joined ISKCON. And he brought everyone, he was a guru, but then he became attracted to Prabhupada. And so he just brought everyone, and they all surrendered to Prabhupada. And after a while, he had his own organization and his own. He was like the original Krishna West, and there were a lot of things in the way devotees were spreading Krishna consciousness he didn't like. So he eventually went off on his own, like started his own organization, and he did things. 16 rounds, 4 principles, all that, Prabhupada's books. If you go to their website, it's like Prabhupada's right all over their website. Siddhaswarupananda, Jagaguru Siddhaswarupananda. And so you imagine a sannyasi, disciple of Prabhupada, leaves while Prabhupada's here and starts his own movement. Like, how do you think the other devotees, what do you think the other devotees thought about him? They didn't really like him, obviously. Right? He's like doing his own thing and he's got his own style. Extremely successful, actually. And eventually, I think eventually ISKCON now does most of the things that he did in the 70s that we thought were all Maya. Anyway, Prabhupada's last days, he gets a letter from Siddhaswarupa and said, Srila Prabhupada, if you ever think of Hawaii, I hope you think of me. And Prabhupada started crying. He said, how can I forget you? Because he did service. So anyone who does service, Prabhupada, and many times Prabhupada said, how can I forget you? You did service. So you do service to Prabhupada, you should know that he appreciates it. And if Prabhupada appreciates your service, I don't know any happiness better than that. It doesn't get better than that. It can't get better than that. So you have that opportunity. You have that opportunity to serve Prabhupada and get his smile. Wow! Why wouldn't you want to get it? It's like amazing. Right? Any little things. Sweep the temple, cook some prasadam, tell someone about Krishna, invite someone to a program, do a kirtan, like anything. Many of us had the opportunity to write Srila Prabhupada and tell him what we were doing so we could get a reply which says, I am very pleased with whatever you did. And get a letter back like that. You got a letter like that, that was it. It's like, okay, I made it. My life is perfect. Like, what could you want after that? It's like a Mercedes-Benz. No, this is way better. So we should, understand this. This is important. And so these things can give us that motivation when Maya comes. It's just like, no, I'm not going to listen to you, Maya. I can serve Prabhupada and I can go back to Godhead in this lifetime. I'm not going to give that up for some little thing in this world. So that's what I wanted to say. And if you have anything to say or questions to ask, I'm happy to answer. Yes.
I joined in 91 in Bulgaria.
Oh.
And we were doing Sankirtan like you described. We had bread made at the temple, and then we travel and get the cheapest hotel and eat this bread for the whole week.
Bread, you can put butter on it or no butter?
It depends how many books you sell.
Oh, really? Well, if you like butter, you're going to sell more books, right?
Well, the country was bankrupt, and our books were the most beautiful and expensive books
Oh.
in the market. So it was very hard to sell them. Anyway, the point is, I find it very difficult. Once you go into society, they're expert in taking every drop of energy you have. Just for the basics.
Yeah. Which is why Prabhupada really didn't like us to be entangled. May not be possible, but in the ideal perfect world, he wanted grihastas to live on farms and communities. You know, the idea was they would. I mean, we haven't done this, but his idea was, well, you have a cow and you have a garden, and you solve your food problem that way, and you build some like simple housing and you solve your housing problem. Not that many devotees have been able to do it. It's easier in tropical climates to grow food, and you don't need all the heating expense and the big jackets and everything expense. But there was a time in which Prabhupada said, the only grihastas that live in the city or should live in the city are the ones that are preaching, that have to be there. Everyone else should live in the country. So what we have done in America, and I think you're trying to do that here, is we have communities where devotees live. They're not farming, but they're not living in the city. And so some of them are being supported by that community, or some are working remotely. It's like, a stage better. But there's something that is very, very important to understand. And I was telling this to a devotee yesterday. He said, I have trouble chanting my rounds. And he lives at home and he doesn't go to the temple. So you're just alone at home. You ever been alone at home? It's like, should I chant? Shouldn't I? Should I chant later? Because there's nothing like forcing you. It's just like, however you feel in the moment. Well, I don't really feel like chanting, so I'll chant later. So he was having a hard time, and he couldn't chant all his rounds. And I said, what if you, and he wasn't reading, and I said, so what if you just, he said, I'm not going to the temple. What if you just go to the temple, like at 5:30 even, and just go for an hour and chant? You think you would chant 8 rounds? I think he was chanting like 4. You think you'd chant at least 8? And he said, yeah, of course I would. Because he used to be a brahmachari, he knows. And I said, well, what if you set a time every day with your wife to read? Because you're not reading. So like, we're going to read every morning from 8:30 to 9 or whatever. And so she commits, you commit. So you're creating an environment around you which is going to motivate you to do what you want to do. When you don't have that, you have to be strong. And I was telling him, even me, when I'm at home, when I get back to Alachua, like sometimes I just need to decompress a little bit. So sometimes I'll just stay home and don't go to the temple for a few days or something. And so even I experienced that freedom. Well, I don't have to chant now. And I like chanting alone, but sometimes it's harder. So what I was telling him is, it seems the problem you're having is not that you're weak, but your environment is weak. So it's like, I said, if you went to Vrindavan now, would you chant 16 rounds? He goes, of course I would. So I said, well, it's not you then, it's the environment. And you're getting weak or strong based on the environment. So this is really important to understand. Because we think, I have to try. Yes, I do have to try, but part of trying is create the environment that's going to push you. Because if you don't, you create an environment that works against you. I'm so ecstatic right now. This is not being translated. Since I last saw you, every lecture was translated. It's the last, how long has it been? 2 weeks. Every lecture. And I'm giving a lot translated. Every once in a while I think I should stop for the translation. And I go, oh, there is none. And I'm like, this is so nice. You can keep talking. Yes.
I was wondering, before you were carrying Prabhupada's white thing, and you get the thank you and you get the reciprocation. How is it now for you, now that he's not here? How do you feel that reciprocation?
The question is, how do you feel that reciprocation? Sometimes you just naturally feel it, and sometimes you have to intellectualize it, knowing this is what he wanted and I'm doing it. And, aside from my own, I'm the lowest thing in the universe and everything I do is bad and who would be pleased, and he probably would kick me out if he saw me today. You know, aside from all that, you know, chatter of the mind, you have to go back to the reality of like, you know, well, some devotee did some horrible thing and he apologized and Prabhupada accepted his apology and he rectified himself. It's like, you know, and some devotee did some little significant thing and Prabhupada praised them. And so you have to go back to those things and just like look at it factually, like this is what pleases him, and just go, oh. Because, you know, some of us will be eternally in the I'm never pleasing my guru mode. You know, you could, you know, bring the whole world to Prabhupada's lotus feet and you think, yeah, but I can't really please Prabhupada. You know what I mean? You know, that mode, that mentality. So, you know, you don't want to give into that mentality where you feel like, well, everything I do is wrong. You know, Prabhupada was very easy to please. Easy to upset also. So you want to avoid that. A lot of times I will think, you know, I'll be doing something and I'll just think, well, Prabhupada, this is what you wanted me to do and I'm doing it, and maybe I'm not doing it as well as I could, but I'm trying, and this is what you want. That's the only reason I'm doing it. So, you know, you just kind of know that he's pleased because you're trying to do what he asks you to do, right? Especially in the, you know, if you look at his letters, anytime anybody did anything to spread Krishna consciousness, it was always positive. Thank you, continue, I'm so happy. Well, and like I said, that's all. I mean, look at it from Prabhupada's perspective. Oh, this is the answer. This is the answer now, the best answer. Prabhupada came alone, as we said, to spread Krishna consciousness. And he can't do it by himself. He goes, here's the power to join. No, he never said that. He said, I'm one man alone, what can I do? Loitering in New York. And there's a video, maybe you've seen it. It shows these hippies in San Francisco in the 60s, on Hippie Hill, probably 66. You've seen that? And one guy's dancing like this. And then another two people come and do it. You've seen that? And the point is that you need people to start following something, because if Prabhupada comes and nobody follows it, nobody else is going to follow it. You need that initial group. And so, you know, all those initial devotees, 26 Second Avenue, New York, you know, they're the reason ISKCON exists, because if nobody bought into it, Prabhupada would have no one to do it. And Shruti Kirti said, Prabhupada, I don't think this movement would have spread just with your books. You needed to be here. And Prabhupada said, yes. So if you think that, I mean, put yourself in Prabhupada's position. Like, he can't do this alone. He's writing books, but how do they get distributed? People have to distribute it. And now people are coming, but there's no temple. Someone has to start a temple, run a temple. You know, we have to do these things. So Prabhupada's coming, one person, and we're doing something to help spread his movement, which is the order of his Guru Maharaj. So that order is very dear to him, because that's his spiritual master he's trying to please. And you get to do something that's going to help him please his Guru. That's like bonus points, for sure. Right? For sure. So, you know, think like that, and it's like, oh, you know, I think that way all the time. You know, I'll be going somewhere, and things aren't going well. Maybe I can do something to help, and I think, you know, wow, this is mercy. Then I can leave and say, Prabhupada, you know, it's better now. It's his movement. I'm just, you know, and I just feel he's saying thank you, you know, or I help one devotee there. I see every devotee in ISKCON as his son or daughter, or now grandson or great-grandson or daughter. And Prabhupada, I helped this devotee. They were going to leave, and I helped them, or I inspired them to do something. And just know he's like, thank you, you know. Especially there's so many devotees who don't do it. And, you know, it's not like there's a million and you're just one. It's not that many. Yes? You? No.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for the beautiful kirtan and
You're
the
welcome.
beautiful class. And we are so fortunate to have your association again. It's actually the same year. So the last time we were late, and now you're here again. So it's really, really amazing.
It's my daughter speaking.
from her heart, like mommy.
Maharaj, I had a question. It's related to what Chitralika said. It's about the thank you and about the, when Prabhupada sends a letter for you, what more can you want? So I have, when I'm doing something that I know pleases my Guru Maharaj because he actually says so and reciprocates.
Yeah.
I also feel like I'm only doing it for the reciprocation and not necessarily from something sincere, but just wanting to have that ego being, caressed.
I don't think that's ego, but
So how do we interpret?
I think it's not bad because one time Prabhupada asked the devotees, he said, why are we distributing these books? And so you naturally would think, well, this is your mission, these books are going to save the world. Bhaktisiddhanta wanted you to do this, we're trying to help you, you've asked us. I don't know what the devotees said, but you can imagine they said things like that. And Prabhupada said, no. The reason we're distributing these books is we want to see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta smile. So it's very similar to what you're saying. It's like, yeah, why are you doing this? Because I want to see my Guru Maharaj smile. I want to know that I pleased him because Yasya Prasada Bhagavad Prasada. If I please him, then I'm good. So I don't think it's as bad as you think it is. It's got a very Krishna conscious, at least aspect to it. You could miss that, but I think sometimes we might get that mixed up with ego and pride when they're different things. Because I want the happiness of knowing that my Guru is pleased, which really means that I just want him to be pleased. Ultimately, doesn't it? Yeah. So, I think that's all our motives. We're all motivated by that. Like we wouldn't, like sometimes when I travel, like on this trip it's shorter, and I was, I stayed here one night, then I went to Poland, and I was still jet lagged. And in Poland, I forced myself to go to sleep at 2:30, and then classes at 8. And so, like, when do you chant? Because 6 hours is 8:30. So, like, I have to get up, like, in 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours, to at least chant a little. I give class, wake up at 7:45 and give class at 8. So I was doing that, and I think by the time I left, I was at 12:30. It just takes time for the body because it's 6 hours. And then we drove to Berlin, and we got there, and then we stayed there in the evening, did a program, went to sleep like 11, and had to get up like 4 or something to, get the train, like that. And then we went to Cologne, so I'm getting better, I went to Mangalarti, but I think I might have gone to sleep like at 11. And this also includes, packing, unpacking, So Cologne was 2 days, Berlin was 1 night, Cologne was 2 nights, then Singachala was Friday night, Saturday. It was Thursday night, Friday, 2 nights, 3 days, And then, where did we go from there? Then we went to Riga for like 2 nights, and then went to Lithuania. So like I'm doing all this, and then, you naturally think, this is like you're in a different bed every few days, it's like, and you're trying to be regulated, and you're on a train, you're on a plane, it's like why would anybody who's not crazy do it, And I always think, this makes Prabhupada smile, so, And we need mercy also. It's not only just to please him, but we need mercy. And so, I've had times in my preaching where I was make huge sacrifices, sleeping, traveling, getting on the airplane and some, big guy next to you hogging half your seat, I always get the biggest people next to me. And I'm like, why don't they have 2 poles and you have to walk through the poles, and if you're too big, you got to buy the seat next to you. Why do they do this to me? And the people don't even know. It's just, they're just like, their body just goes over it. And then you do these international flights and everybody's watching like stupidest video movies, like someone's getting killed on every screen. It's like why would you subject yourself to that? Just stay in Alachua, I live on 5 acres of land. I don't have to see anybody if I don't want to. And my neighbor's 10, the other neighbor's 10, the neighbor next to me is 10, and the neighbor next to me is 130 acres of forest. That's where I live. And so when I do it, I ask myself, why are you doing it? And the only answer is because it pleases Prabhupada, and that's like, just keeps me going. Well, if I can please him, it's like, and if I do something that doesn't please him, you just feel miserable. There's no intellectual process. I feel really bad, right? So, is that all right? Yeah. Now, thinking of what you said, your Guru Maharaj is giving you a question, a service. Then a question comes. And this often comes up. If I please my Guru, like, how does Krishna know? How does Prabhupada know? How do I get, points for that? Brownie points. You have brownie points here?
Karma points.
Paramatma points. What are brownie points for? From the Girl Scouts and the brownies or something? Yeah. Get Paramatma points or something. What Prabhupada says, if you please the Guru, then you get Krishna's mercy. And it's just like this system, like Super Soul knows. Like your Guru says, do this. Like Super Soul knows you did it. And it's like a whole system. And then it gets, Krishna gets an email that Chitralekha did this. And Krishna's like, he sends her through the Super Soul some, kripa. It's a system that you can't think, well, I'm just over here in this corner of the universe doing something. How would Krishna even, get mercy to me? And how would my Guru Maharaj know I'm pleased? It's a transcendental system that Krishna knows, and all the requisite mercy channels are open when you please the Guru. If we don't understand that or think like that, it's really hard because our Guru's gone, Prabhupada's gone. It's like, how do you survive now? But that chain, that system is open. And you can see, like with someone like Rati Manjari, whose Guru left, like when? 20 years ago, 22 years ago. And of course the Prabhupada disciples. If you can't access that mercy, you can't exist. Because when he was here, you thrive to please him. And you have to get that same reciprocation when he's gone. And so you get it. He would, like Rati and I were talking. And so she sent me one of her songs. And I said, I think you should get it mastered. Mastered is a process after you mix it, I think. And she said, well, it was mastered. I said, well, I know this devotee who does it, who has connection with the big studio. Why don't we try? We said, oh, well, try one. And I thought it was much better, more professional. But it's like $1,500 more better. Is it $1,500 more better?
Pounds.
What? Pounds. 1,500 pounds. Yeah.
1,800.
Yeah, it's $1,800. She's taking donations tonight. If you want to help her.
Limbo about it.
Yeah, the Lakshmi's, we'll work on that later. But I just want to share your realization. We were talking about it, and I was saying, it's not the end of the world if you don't do it, but it does sound better to my recording engineer ears. For whatever they're worth, it sounds better. It is better. It was better. Then Rati said, Gurudev would want it to be like this. So, like she knows, this is what Guru wants, and you do. I'm not putting. If you don't do it, he's going to have a nightmare or something. No, but it's like you know what your Guru wants, and then you do it. You feel like, okay, I did it. This pleased him. You know it. Right? Krishna knows it. Prabhupada knows it, and the whole system works. Just works out fine, right? And vice versa. And he also knows that Rati doesn't have a lot of money. So if she can't do it, she'll go, well, my Guru knows. He wouldn't want me to spend money, that he didn't have and go into debt or whatever. Right? Something like that. Maybe.
It's like my biggest problem at the moment. I didn't just mention it in the class. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. But I wanted to talk with you about it, but you just bring it up like that.
We can all talk about it. No, it's a joke.
You know what your Guru wants. That's what you should do. Rati, the CD we worked on,
The song is on there.
What?
It's on there as well.
Is it?
Mama Mana Mandira?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's on there.
No, I mean the one that I did when I was working on it, I sent it to Hans Christian of the group called Rasa. And just to say, what do you think? Give me some ideas. And he said something really nice. He said, this is your creation, this is your artwork, so it doesn't matter. He said, this is your devotion for service for Krishna, Guru and Krishna. So it doesn't matter how the world responds. Because, the world responds, to
That's what she says.
the world responds to what they like. It doesn't, not what's good, right? I'm I make a video and I do something and I get -3 hits or something, how did that happen? And some girl's I have this makeup here. And she's 14. I have this makeup here. And you feel there's 2.5 million hits. I'm okay. So, you can't evaluate the worth of something by the public's response. You evaluate the worth of something by how much it pleases Guru and Krishna. Right? So that's what's important. So you want to think in those terms. What's pleasing to Guru and Krishna? And that's what you do. That maybe saving the money is more pleasing. I mean, my curses, I can hear the difference. But probably nobody here would hear much. So, when you become a connoisseur in a certain field, you're cursed. Because it's if you're a connoisseur of cooking, most prasadam you'll eat and you go, it's okay. Everyone's going, it's amazing. And you're it's okay. It's really not supposed to taste like this. Because you're a connoisseur. So you hear it. Right? But Prabhupada did like things done well. And Prabhupada did not like to spend money, but he liked to spend money when it was needed on good things. One time I was in LA, and they're having some problem with the microphone. I don't think the microphone was malfunctioning. I think maybe it was a cable or something happened. Someone accidentally turned the volume down, and it wasn't working. And Prabhupada said, there's a Bengali saying, when you buy something, you should buy the best. He was telling him, buy the best microphones. I follow that order very strictly. I have lots of good microphones in my studio. I think Krishna Kanti, who was doing it, had some really good expensive microphones to record classes. If you listen to the good recordings in LA, it was expensive. So anyway, so I remember that, Prabhupada likes, he would spend money if it was needed, and he wouldn't spend a cent if it wasn't. So that's the idea, please our Guru, then everything's good. And Krishna knows. You'll feel it, won't you? Sometimes. Unless you're confused. But maybe you feel it, and you're afraid to feel it. That happens also. It's you don't want to feel it.
Or to disappoint people that I've worked with.
Yeah. There's another phenomena. You feel something, but you can't explain what it is. what do you think of that class? It didn't feel right. Can you explain? I can't explain it. It just didn't feel right. Sometimes it's like that. You know? Or vice versa. It feels wrong, you can't explain it. It feels right, you can't explain it. We had a class once in Alachua and everybody was like, something's wrong with this class. It was a senior devotee. It was like, we all felt it was like 1970, you know. It was like maybe 10 years ago and we're all like older devotees and it sounded like a class from 1970 to a bunch of new devotees. You know, like what, something wrong. I mean, we couldn't put our finger on it because everything was just Prabhupada, you know. And we're all talking about it and I couldn't articulate it and one devotee said, sounds right, feels wrong. It's like, you know, it's like you couldn't even say what was wrong with it, but it felt wrong. Isn't that interesting? I don't know what he said wrong because I can't say what he said wrong, but something felt wrong.
Sometimes it's the motivation or maybe the pride. Or
could be. I think in this case it was like the lack of connection with the audience, the lack of understanding where the audience was at. Because it's like speaking to 40-year-old Prabhupada disciples like the new bhaktas.
How much should we trust our feelings?
Probably more than you do now. You know, think about it. Okay, you joined. So Chitralekha, let's say you joined and I was like, you know, one of the devotees in the temple. And or maybe I was like the Bhaktin leader. You know, I was like giving all the classes at Bhakti. And so you say, what about intuition? And I would say, well, you're just a new devotee, you know. Everything you feel is Maya. So we would have effectively abused you by saying that, right? What we mean to say is, you know, maybe you'll need to consult. It would have been better to say, you know, go with your intuition, and then if you're not sure, consult with someone and, you know, discuss it. Because what we did for many devotees is make them feel their intuition is always wrong until they're more advanced. You know how many people got married that had an intuition it wasn't going to work and they were right? Yeah. More than one, believe me. And one was too much already. It's like that intuition, it's like sometimes you can't explain it. And, you know, we're very philosophical. Well, where's the verse? Show it to me. I don't have a verse, but I just feel like this is not good for the preaching or not good for the devotees. So I think at least we need to investigate our intuition. You know, maybe if you're like, well, I'm just like nobody, so my intuition is like, how do you know? But at least investigate it. It's there. It exists, right? Otherwise, we just have a cult. We kind of already do, don't we? A little bit. I mean, in some areas and some things can be cultish, and we don't want that. And that's. You know, you could make the argument that. You know, like, okay, on a spiritual level, you may not understand everything, but you know, like. You're a university graduate, you're like 25, you got some common sense and experience and intuition. We can't just tell you to turn all that off. That doesn't make sense, does it? Do you know that story about this lady who came to New Vrindavan and Prabhupada told her, she heard her voice and said, take my shoes?
Yeah.
You never heard that? No. There was a time New Vrindavan was like, it was really bad. Really, really bad. And there was a lady, the tourist, and she was alone in the palace and she heard the voice. Twice, I think, she heard it. She was like, who's talking? Or 3 times. And she took the shoes. Like Prabhupada wanted to leave. And like 2 years or whatever later, she had a dream and Prabhupada said, bring it back. So that's non-devotee. Prabhupada's talking to a non-devotee. Sometimes Krishna's talking to you, you have to listen. I think also maybe we need to trust our understanding of Krishna consciousness a little more. Like certain things you just know are true, don't doubt it. And you feel a certain way. It's like, I don't think this is good. Or you hear a class and you think, I don't think that was good for people. I mean, it's not, you might think, I'm being offensive, my intuition is offensive. It's not necessarily offensive, it just could be a fact. I heard something really interesting yesterday. This is really interesting. I don't know if I should tell you because we're recording it. And everybody wants to hear it. You know, when I travel through Europe, I go through zones where there are former gurus who left ISKCON, and you know, you see all the remnants of it and like that. And I was with some devotees, musicians. And I said, you know, Harikesh had a studio. They spent like whatever, 40,000. That was before you could record on a computer, I think. Or you had to have a special computer. It was like they spent a lot of money. And I said, these are really good musicians, but his singing was a little not like on par with the music. And we listened to it. And it was like, have you heard those albums? You ever heard those?
A little bit.
Yeah, without hearing it, you won't know what I'm talking about, and I don't want to offend him. But it was like, it was not, he shouldn't have sung on it. And they were distributing those on the street, and it was like, he's a keyboard player, but not a singer. So it's not like you would spend all that money for someone who can't really sing to have a studio. And nobody told him, because he's the guru, that, you know, this is not good. I mean, if you hear it, you'll see they shouldn't distribute it. But that's a cult. Like, you can't tell the leader anything. And it's like the king has no clothes. It was like so obvious to me. And they're all musicians, so it's not like they didn't know. They wanted to serve their guru, okay, that's the principle. But, you know, it went too far, I think. And all that money was spent for that. So sometimes you just have to say, this doesn't feel right. There's something wrong with this. I mean, you feel it. You don't have to think it, you feel it. Sometimes, right? Yeah. It's not offensive, it's just, you know, it just is. So now we have you all you cult members. This is how we keep you in the cult. Anything you do that's against the cult leader, what do we say? The big O, it's offensive. And that shuts you right up because, you know, if you make offenses, what's going to happen? Krishna's going to kick you in the rear end and you're going to fall out of ISKCON, right? So just say, it's offensive, Prabhu. And this is like keeps you in line, doesn't it? And then you start thinking, everything I'm thinking must be offensive, because every time I say something in class, the guru says, that's offensive. And, you know, it's like, you know, we don't want to create that kind of situation. And so, you ever seen that or felt it? Or the longer you've been a devotee, the more you would have seen it. You might have missed the worst parts, but you saw it, right? Rati, you must have seen it. Yeah. So that's, you know, it's like it's a bit abusive, it's a bit cultish, you know. And so, you know.
It's suppressive.
Yeah. So, you know, I have lots of young disciples, very intelligent. It's just like, tell me. What do you think? What do you think I want to know? Tell me. Right? And I'll tell them something. Oh, Guru Maharaj, no, I don't think we should do that. It's like we have that, you know, relationship. It's like, yeah, okay. Tell me what you think. I'm not trying to suppress your intelligence. What to speak, if you're a woman, why would I listen to you? You know, all of that, right? And so we know how much damage that's done. So these things are abusive, you know. And so naturally you're going to feel, like intuitively you're going to feel, this is not right. You know. I used to be part of a community. We didn't think like this. we work well together. Now I'm in the temple and there's dysfunction, and it's like you can't ignore it. I'm not saying every temple is like that, but you know what I'm saying. Yes, maybe, possibly. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And then 10 years later, you're going to look back at the damage and you think, I was so stupid I didn't say anything, but I thought it would be offensive if I said anything. So I just shut up. And now all those devotees are gone. I mean, we've got histories like this all over the place. And it's still going on in some places. Because people were afraid to talk. Or they felt something was wrong, but they didn't know how to articulate it. They couldn't even express to anybody something's wrong. So I will guarantee you that one. If you see anything where devotees aren't being treated well and you don't say anything, you will regret it later. Especially when they suffer or leave. You'll definitely regret it. I should have done something. Yes? Yeah.
Yeah, but time is...
Time for Dhammadarastika?
I just want to get Dhammadarastika. Now I just wonder to know, is there a thin line between intuition and Paramatma?
No, same thing.
Oh, okay.
But there is more than a thin line between Krishna directly speaking and Krishna giving intelligence. So like Krishna gives us intelligence, but Krishna directly speaks to Prabhupada. Like I could manage something with my intelligence, but Prabhupada said Krishna tells him directly, this person should do this. Because he was asked that question, how do you choose a leader or this or that? And he said, Krishna tells me. And Rameshwar was there, and the person who asked was a reporter, a newspaper reporter, or a journalist or something. So Rameshwar was saying, well, because it's like if, a journalist is there and you say, and Prabhupada says, God tells me directly. This is how I do it. He speaks to me directly. I have to drink this a half hour before I eat. Yeah, it's going to make my hair grow back. No. It could, I don't know, but it's not the reason I take it. And so Rameshwar is saying, well, it's not that God's speaking directly, He's giving him intelligence. And Prabhupada said, no, He's speaking directly to me. Because for us, it's intelligence. You get an inspiration, intuition. We should get this building, we should do this. But for Prabhupada, it's like, no. Krishna's, talking. Okay.
Speaking about God, it reminds me, short things, it's so nice, this one. So, Lokanath Swami came here once, when he came here, because he often came to Holland. He came here, and Malti from Radharaj, at that time she was the president, I guess. And she's a disciple of him, and she was guiding him through the whole immigration thing here. And then she brought him to the immigration office, and there was this man, very conservative.
Can you pour that out, that water?
Employee, something who looks like before Christ, very conservative. He was sitting there, and so then he said, "So, and what's your name?" He asked Lokanath Swami Maharaj. God. Sorry, God. It went like that all the time. Who? God. And what's the name of your mother? God. It went all the time like that. And Mom told me, I wanted to laugh, but I said, hey, guess what happens? He got his visa in 2 weeks. Yes. I think God was speaking to this employee because it's crazy when you are dealing with this This case is filed, and you read Mom is God and Father is God, and you think this man is crazy, isn't it? But you got within 2 weeks. Yeah. God was working on his intelligence. Shall we do the Damodarasa?
Yeah, God is speaking through you. Let's do it. Let's do it. I just, if you have the words.